Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to show you how to make the ponytail hat, and this is a new pattern and it's down in the description below. You can download it and follow along. It's fairly simple. It's kind of like the triangle hat. It's pretty much a triangle hat with a different back, more open, so you can wear a ponytail. But other than that, let's just get started. Alright, so here's your pattern, and the pattern is available in the description below, and it's going to look, we did one similar to this, but it's a little bit different because the back is going to be more open. So yeah, if you're using our patterns, make sure you cut on the outside of the black line. And other than that, we went ahead and traced ours already, so we're just going to cut ours out. So there, you're gonna want 2 of each of these. I cut 2 of these just because we had, fabric is folded usually. So you're only gonna need 1 of each of these, 2 of these, and just 2 for your brim. And if you haven't seen our other hat videos, we use a twill. You can use twill or a canvas, anything that's pretty stiff and kind of more heavyweight. But you can use pretty much any fabric you want. Some fabric is more difficult to use. Get creative with it though. Just find different fabrics. We made hats out of rugs before, so you can really do whatever you want when it comes to the fabric. It's just easier to work with a twill when you're starting. So yeah, keep that in mind. And all right, so now you're gonna want to take your 2 front panels, and we went ahead and put interfacing on the back. And if you're looking for interfacing, go to capsupplyco.com. They have professional hat making supplies, and you definitely want to use this for the front if you want to go for that stiff look. But if you're going for more of a just crumbly look, or however you want to put it, you don't have to use it. So you're gonna want to take your front panels and your back panels and sew just along the top, and sew these 2 together on that curve. Alright, so now we're at our double needle, and this is bias tape that we're feeding through here, and you can cut this out of any twill. We're just using a standard twill, and you just cut it on the bias for whatever feeder you're using. And this is a double fold, so it will cover up that edge on the inside and then give you a nice top stitch on the outside. And if you're looking for equipment like this, send us an email and we can point you in the right direction. And check Cap Supply Co, because I think they are getting a lot of this stuff in for different machines, industrial machines, and whatever you want to use. And if you don't have an industrial, you can still use the same thing on a domestic. Just get the twin needle, and you can get a folder pretty much at any hobby store to do this. And what you do is, it's not going to have 2 separate stitches. It'll have a cross on the inside, which it's not a big deal if you're just making a few hats, but if you're really looking to make a lot of hats, you're going to want to spend a little money to get a nice setup, because domestic sewing machines kind of come untimed a lot, and if you're using them frequently, they kind of break down. But we're going to show you how this works, and if you're looking for something like this, we can try to point you in the right direction. All right, so now you're gonna take your side panels and sew them on one at a time here, and we already went and put the right sides together. And again, the pattern shows which one you wanna put on which side, which goes to the front and which goes to the back. And yeah, just sew that one on to start. And a little tip here, if you have trouble sewing on the bias tape, you can trim along here, get it closer to that seam, and that will help a little with putting on bias tape when you're using interfacing. Now when you have both of those sewn on, you're gonna wanna take your back and sew that all the way across. And make sure when you're sewing that you keep the center lined up with the center of the front panel. All right, now we're back in the double needle sewing machine. We're gonna put more bias tape on, and you're gonna wanna do this in an X. So you wanna go from your front all the way across to your back, and then front again all the way across to the back. So that way you only have two strips going across, meeting in the middle. It kinda reduces the amount of bulk here in the center. All right, so now we're gonna seal off this back edge here, and we're using a bias tape binder, double fold. And you can do it this way, or you can just fold it over and hem it. We always find this way works a little bit better and gives a nice quality look on the back. There's also other ways to do this with a bottom feeder, but I'm not really gonna get into that. So, I mean, this is the simplest way. You can find one of these at the store, your hobby store, and you can use this on a domestic machine, whatever. Like, not the specific one, but you can get these for domestic. You can get them for anything. All right, so now we are gonna put on the side strip, and this helps give structure along the bottom here. And as you can see, we went ahead and serged along that bottom just to seal off the bias tape. And if you don't have a serger, you can just use a zigzag on your domestic machine, and that works just fine. It's just to hold down your bias tape so that way it doesn't unravel, and also keep the fabric itself from unraveling. So we're gonna put this on right along the bottom here. And if you want any of these supplies, just go to capsupplyco.com and you can get all your hat making supplies. All right, so when it comes to doing the brim, you're definitely gonna wanna get a professional brim. You can try using cardboard. It doesn't really work that great. It just turns out looking kind of like garbage. But again, Cap Supply Co. has everything you need for cheap. And what you're gonna do is trace your brim and give yourself a little bit more at the bottom, and then just sew all the way around. And then trim off to about 1/4 inch all the way around. You can go a little bit more, a little bit less. It really doesn't matter too much. You just want some sort of extra there so that way the brim can sit on one side of that. And I'll show you that in a second. It's when you flip it inside out. And then you slide it in, and then you make sure your brim is sliding on one side, either the top or the bottom, whatever you choose. That way it's looking like that. And then you're gonna wanna take a zipper foot. Well, I like to use a zipper foot. You can use whatever you want. It just helps get really close to the edge there, and you can see it's open. So that way when you're sewing this, you can get really close to the inside of that brim. Yeah, that helps make that fabric nice and tight on that brim. All right, so now we're gonna do the brim stitch, and we are using this guide right here. And if you're looking for one of these, they're going to be available on capsupplyco.com soon, so just keep an eye out for those. And these are for domestic sewing machines, or I mean industrial sewing machines, and they are looking to make one for a domestic, but it's kind of inconvenient because you don't really want to keep running this on a domestic over and over. But anyways, we'll show you how this works. That's essentially how it works. We're not going to do all of them, but you just adjust this and you move it into your next line, and then you go around again and again, and until you have as many lines as you need. I mean, you can do as many stitches all the way down as you want, and it's really easy because you just adjust it, move it, tighten it, and go again. So we're not going to do all of them because it's just kind of repetitive, but yeah, that's how you do it. And you don't even have to put stitches on your brim if you don't want to, as long as you have this nice and tight. Like if in the last step, if you pull that nice and tight and you get a nice stitch along that edge and close, you don't have to put stitches on. It's more for a look. I mean, it is obviously to hold down fabric, but it's up to you. All right, so now we're gonna put on the sweatband, and again, using a professional sweatband is the way to go. It just makes the whole process a lot easier, makes your hat look way more professional. And we're on a post-bed sewing machine. I totally recommend using one of these if you have one around. I mean, obviously not a lot of people probably have them around. We have a rolling foot on here. If you don't have one of these, we're gonna have a video that shows you how to put a sweatband on just a regular single stitch coming up here, so look out for that. There's ways to do it without this. We're just doing this because we have it here, it's convenient, and you don't need one though. Just keep an eye out for the video that's coming out, but we'll show you how to use this. Alright, so now we're gonna show you how to finish off the back ends here, and we're gonna use a leather band strap on this one. So, I mean, you can try, since it's a bigger gap, you're gonna wanna use a longer, more adjustable closure, and that's why we chose a leather one. So one side, you can choose whatever side you want. You just wanna totally seal off, so just fold it in, and then fold it up, and take that side like that, and sew right along there. You have one side closed, and the other side you're gonna do the same thing, but you're gonna wanna put your leather strap right in the center there, and then sew that closed. trim up your threads, and then we're going to show you how to install the buckle on there. Alright, so now we're going to show you how to put the buckle on, and we're using a rivet for this. In the kit when you buy them, it usually comes with a little eyelet, and that's the best way to do it. We just ran out of them, so we're going to use a rivet. So you can either use a press or pliers. You can literally just get pliers at the hobby store and do this part to install the buckle. But we like to do it right on that open part of the sweatband, and we're just showing you this because that is the ideal spot for this pattern to place the buckle that we found. If you like a different spot, go for it, do whatever you want. But other than that, you're pretty much done. We're going to show you how to do the button. Alright, so with this die, these will soon be available on Cap Supply Co. We're talking to them, and they'll be there soon. You place, this is just to get the fabric over the cover button, and it's a quick way to do it. So you place that on there and you fold it in all around, and I mean, you can just do this by hand too. You don't need this. And again, we're just showing you a different way to do this. So once you have it all folded in, I like to put just a little bit of glue on there just to secure everything, and you can use an all-purpose glue. Then you take your bottom and press it in there, and your top is good to go. And then you take your prong piece and you place that in the bottom of your die, push it all the way down, and then your top cover button goes in the top of the die, and then you just you center it top of the hat, just press down, and you're good to go. And other than that, you can do eyelets or vents on the side, whatever you choose. We're not going to show that in this video. If you want to see how to do that, you can go to other videos. Eyelets are fairly easy to install. Get creative with it. Do whatever you want for your openings or your ventilation on the side. And other than that, you are pretty much done. Whatever branding you want to do on the front. We're going to show you the quick steaming process too, to make sure you get your sweatband all nice and snug up in there. Alright, for the final step, we're using a steamer, and this is, I say this is mandatory for making a nice looking hat. You just want to steam all the way around. You can either use a steamer or an iron that has steam in it, but you just want to make sure you steam that sweatband so it lays nice and flat on the inside, and then steam the entire hat while you're at it, just to get the bias tape, everything to set really nicely. And we're using a hat block here. You can use whatever, just something that you can tighten on so that way the sweatband is on there tight, and you steam all the way around, and just let it sit there for a little bit, and you'll see that when you pull it off, the sweatband will be nice and flat and snug up against the entire wall inside there. And other than that, that's the final step. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. There is your ponytail cap, and again, the pattern is in the description below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments or email us, and be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.